Listen, I know I'm late to the party, like several years late to the party, but sometimes I think it's good to take a couple years off and relax about those heated things, think about them properly, think about them thoroughly, and then speak about them. And so that's why today I want to talk to you about Baby It's Cold Outside and its controversy that happened back in 2018, I think. There's no reason for me to talk about it other than it's still in the back of my mind. Like, I still sometimes remember it, and I'm like, that was weird. And I'll explain to you why I think it was weird. To fully understand the song and the following controversy, I think we need to look at what the song actually is, who composed it, and all that. So, it was composed in 1944 by a composer named Frank Lesser, and it became very popular in the year 1949 when it was featured in a movie called Neptune's Daughter, I think. Now, it was gaining its popularity even before it was featured in the film, when Frank Lesser and his wife were performing the song together at like parties in New York and stuff. And people loved it so much that they would actually ask for the song to be performed. Now, if this is your first time hearing about the song, like you had no idea that it existed, just to let you know, it's basically a Christmas song and it has this lovey-dovey sort of vibe for most people. So for the first time in 2009, it started facing criticism. Like people started to find things in the song that they didn't really hear in it beforehand. There are certain parts of the song that have been labeled controversial, and we will deal with them later. But the gist, I think it's gist, the gist of the controversy lies in the fact that some people think, that the guy in the song is pressuring the woman to stay, and she doesn't really want to stay. She keeps saying no. She keeps trying to find ways to let him down gently, but ultimately she doesn't want to stay and she wants to go. But the guy keeps pressuring her because it's cold outside. And for me personally, that's a huge misunderstanding of the song. Firstly, it's the song does not exist in a vacuum, so you have to look at the year when it was written, and that's 1944. It feels stupid that I have to say this, but that was a completely different era. 1944, 2018, those are completely different times. See, back in 1944, there was this thing that's called marriage, and believe it or not, women didn't have as much agency, and they didn't have as much of a control over their own bodies back then. So even if she wanted to stay, she couldn't have said it. Because, like, back then that would have been a big no-no. You would have been branded as an easy girl, or today we would say for the streets. And that's the whole point of the song. She cannot say, yes, I'm staying and we're gonna totally so basically they go back and forth and they're flirting, and the guy knows that. The guy knows that the girl wants to stay. That's why he keeps being persistent. And she knows that she has to keep refusing. That's where this back and forth comes from. She's not afraid of the guy because she's at his place and he's in control, which is what the narrative was surrounding the song. Now, there are two things that support my claim very well. The first one is the actual song and its lyrics. Let's just read it. She says, "My mother will start to worry. Beautiful, what's your hurry? My father will be pacing the floor. Listen to that fireplace roar." And it goes on, but then she says, "But maybe just a half a drink more." So she's suggesting, okay, I could stay for a longer time because I'm having fun and I actually want to stay. And then it goes on in a very similar manner, and then she says, "But maybe just a cigarette more." At the end of the song, they sing "Baby, it's cold outside" in unison. That means they're both singing the same line. And they're both saying, well, it's cold outside, I cannot go out. And so back in the days, if you wanted to put it bluntly, have sex before marriage, you would need a huge excuse. It's not even like having sex, just like the idea of staying over at a guy's house, like when you're not married to him, you would need a huge excuse for that. And if there's like a blizzard outside, that could be your excuse. So that's the reason, number one, why I think that this is a harmless song that is about two people falling in love, essentially. And the second reason why I think I'm right is that the actual composer's daughter said, "Hey, this is a romantic song that my dad wrote, and it's all there is to it." Now I'm gonna go for a completely unhinged take, and I think, and I'm not joking, I think this is actually a feminist song. Because, hear me out, the lady is exercising her own choice, her free will concerning her body in a day and age when everybody but the woman controls her sexuality. She decides to stay over at the guy's house even though she's not married to him. It's even in the song, like, my mother will start to worry, my father will be pacing the floor, and then there's something about a maid who's an aunt or something. You know, everybody wants to have a say as to what she should do with her own body. But she says, no, screw these societal expectations. I'm staying over at the guy's house. But at the same time, I don't want to come across as easy. I don't want to be for the streets. Like, tell me, like, if you think I'm completely stupid and this is the worst take you've ever heard, like, tell me. But, like, I genuinely think this is a feminist song. So here's the conclusion. Firstly, I think the song itself is okay. Secondly, I think it's perfectly fine to put older things under scrutiny and see if they hold up. Like in this case, I think the anger was misled, but I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at older media or customs or just things that were a thing in the past and say, so what do we think of it now? Like, in our day and age, is this okay? I think that's perfectly good to do. But in this case, I don't think it was correctly applied, and I don't think it was the view of the majority that this song was problematic. Number 3 will probably surprise you the most based on what I said previously in this video, but I kept talking about the historical context. So I said, well, in 1940s, women didn't really have much agency when it came to their sexuality, and she was basically forced to refuse even though she wanted to stay. And so I think it'd be hypocritical of me not to look at this controversy through the same lens. 2018, that was pretty much the peak of the Me Too movement. During that time, I think it is understandable that people would be a little more sensitive to certain issues. And so if you just see a line from the song out of context and it says, say, what's in this drink, and the news were full of Bill Cosby spiking people's drinks, maybe, you know, in all your anger, you don't stop to think about, well, is it actually the same thing or is it something else? In this case, I believe it was something else. But I don't blame people for being sensitive to it at that time. I think if you still believe today that the song has these flaws, I would really ask you to reconsider what you believe and to think about the song again and to think of the context, because frankly, I don't believe you're right. I get why it became problematic in 2018. So the next holidays, just listen to Baby It's Cold Outside if you like the song, and don't if you do not like the song. Always try to think first before you jump to conclusions. And if the conclusion you have arrived to is different than mine, that's perfectly fine. And maybe I'm the one who should spend more time thinking. Thank you for watching, and if you liked this, check out my channel. This is my first video like this, so most of my other videos on my channel are very different from this one, but maybe you will like them, so feel free to come and check them out. See you next time.